You ever blink and suddenly your quiet little watch list turns into a full-blown emotional crisis? Well, that is August. One minute we're starving for new releases, and the next we're dodging cursed bloodlines, romantic hitmen, and ex-idols trying to open food trucks on haunted islands. I don't know about that last part, but this month isn't playing fair. It's giving supernatural drama, nostalgic second chances, enemies who might be soulmates, and yes, a romance so chaotic it unfolds vertically. So let's get into it. Here's everything premiering in August 2025, and trust me, this month came to stir things up. Hey guys, I'm Blush. Over here we talk about all things BL, new shows, actors, and of course all of the behind the scenes and what goes on in the industry. If that sounds like anything you're interested in, feel free to subscribe, it really helps me out. Make sure you have a VPN ready to go. I use NordVPN just in case there's a Japan only release and boom, I need to be in Tokyo right now. Well, I can do that with a click of a button. All of a sudden my IP address is in Tokyo and serving me content like a local. Need to sneak into Aishii, Thailand? Well, guess what? We'll just click on Bangkok real quick and we're in. Not sponsored, but I will pin the link in the comments and in the description box. Okay, August 1st, this one is actually already out. From Thailand, we got I'm the Most Beautiful Count, starring none other than Supanut, also known as Nut. You may most recently recognize him as Wei from Pit Babe and Chris from Pit Babe 2. The series takes place in a lavish historical setting dripping with old money elegance. A modern influencer mysteriously wakes up in the body of a nobleman known as the Most Beautiful Count. Trapped in a world of carriages and calculated glances, he must navigate family politics, social rivalries, and a slow simmering romance with a mysterious heir who may or may not know his secret. Okay, just looking at the comments on the MDL page from the first episode, it looks hilarious. And yes, I did watch it, it was pretty funny. Some people seem to be geo-blocked from this series, but nothing a quick VPN and direct link can't fix. WeTV coming in with a big project with even bigger stars. Shine will begin airing August 2nd. Now, this series is kind of a big deal because it's the first time we're seeing the Kin-Porsche duo Mile and Oppo back on the screen as co-stars. What's that, like 3 years later? And if you didn't know, Kin-Porsche was kind of groundbreaking for its time and still ranks as one of the most popular BLs ever, and it launched the cast into a level of fame they weren't expecting. So let's get into Shine. Set during the politically turbulent years of 1969 to 1971, Shine follows an unexpected romance between Payu, a disciplined young economist, and Shine, a free-spirited musician with radical ideas. Their love unfolds against a backdrop of youth protests, social reform, and generational change in Thailand. As the country teeters on the edge, so do their lives, torn between personal freedom and duty, tradition and rebellion. With vintage aesthetics, sweeping cinematography, and emotionally raw performances, I think Shine promises us a romance that's equal parts tender and tragic. We know WeTV is probably banking on this to take the attention away from the recent controversy around Top Form and the show's storyline basically coming to life. Obviously, we're not going to talk about that in this, but I do have a whole video breaking down the timeline of events if you're out of the loop. Next, Japan is giving us an international release of The Proper Way to Write Love, which was actually released earlier this year, but we're now getting an international version. In high school, Hiro was the classic background character, quiet, invisible, and nursing an emotional scar courtesy of one painfully extroverted classmate. Fast forward a few years and Hiro has rebranded himself as a trendy Tokyo hairdresser, perfectly curated and living like that high school era never happened. Until it walks right back into his salon. Natsuo shows up, somehow not recognizing Hiro at all, and plot twist, asks him out. Hiro agrees, but not for the reasons you think. This isn't romance, it's revenge. Or at least that was the plan. Cue the emotionally constipated chaos, one man trying to sabotage a love confession, the other just earnestly vibing, and both being painfully bad at relationships. A messy, charming, slow-cooked tale about awkward love, old wounds, and what happens when your fake dating scheme gets a little too real. This next one is in vertical format, but at least it'll be on YouTube, so it's easy to access, so I thought I'd throw it in here. From Thailand, we have 21 Days Sunshine, which follows, you guessed it, Sun and Shine, who end up becoming unexpected roommates. They have 21 days to get through, but you didn't think nothing was gonna go down in those 3 weeks, did you? I don't think I even need to explain much. You can guess what happens. It's a classic trope in a untraditional format, but hey, maybe they know we've seen this type of story play out so many times that they've chopped it up into quick bite-sized episodes for our sake. You can find this one on Channel 7 HD's YouTube channel starting August 8th. Domundi isn't letting us go unfed for too long. The next Prince Raps and Kemjira will begin. Starring BLCP Kang and Namping, and yes, this will be their first series together, Kem has always lived under a quiet, unsettling truth. He's the latest son in a long line of cursed men, all doomed to die before they turn 20. To protect him, his mother gives him a girl's name, Kemjira, hoping to trick fate itself. And, well, it works. Until he turns 19, that is. As his birthday approaches, strange visions begin, memories he doesn't recognize start bleeding into the present, and a suspicious classmate shows up who seems to be tied to it all. Was the name just a superstition, or is there something even more twisted behind his family's legacy? Kemjira is a moody, supernatural coming-of-age story with reincarnation vibes, identity twists, and just enough romance to make your chest ache. The curse is real, but love might be the loophole. Next up, we've got Thailand again, bringing us Rearranged. If you could rewind the clock and change one thing, just one, what would it be? At 44, Win is stuck. The music dream he once shared with his best friend Nut is long dead, along with Nut himself. But when fate drops him back into his 17-year-old body, he's given a second shot to reform their band, win the Star of Band competition, and maybe finally say all the things he left unsaid. But as Win relives their teenage years, he realizes time travel isn't just a do-over. Every choice he makes nudges Nut closer to the same tragic end, and every unspoken feeling weighs heavier on his heart. Bittersweet and quietly devastating, Rearrange is a time-slip BL that hits like a gut punch. It's about music, memory, and that one person you never really let go of, even after 20 years. For international viewers, you can catch this on FRT Entertainment's YouTube channel starting August 11th. We are getting yet another Japanese remake of a MAME storyline. Just a few months ago, we got the Japanese adaptation of Love in the Air, and now it looks like we're getting Love C. MAME has an entire BL universe, and I'm almost certain you've watched at least one Thai BL that she's written. Anyways, this adaptation follows Rakumoto, who's a best-selling romance novelist that, ironically, might be allergic to actual human connection. When his editor sends him to a remote island to find inspiration, he's expecting peace, quiet, and zero distractions. That is, until he runs into the island's golden boy and #1 tour guide, who is the complete opposite of him in every way. He's outdoorsy, annoyingly cheerful, and not exactly thrilled to babysit a grumpy author who doesn't want to be there. Naturally, they clash. But as forced proximity turns into reluctant understanding, the island days stretch into slow, healing nights. The tension between them shifts. Underneath the banter, both men are quietly carrying wounds that they don't talk about. And this unexpected detour might just become the place they both finally call home. And like the Thai version, this one does have a secondary GL couple. Flavor of Us from Thailand doesn't have an official air date yet, but it should be sometime in August. The 9-minute pilot was released over a year ago, so it's nice that it's finally getting out there. Mikun is a big deal food critic with expensive taste, a sharp tongue, and absolutely no restaurant running experience. So when he suddenly inherits his grandfather's island-side diner, along with a chance to wipe out his mother's massive debt, he figures, fine, run it for a year, cash out, move on. There's just one catch: the chef. Specifically, the infuriating, stubborn, suspiciously hot chef handpicked by Grandpa in his will. From day one, they butt heads over everything: recipes, routines, and whether Mikun even belongs in a kitchen. But in between the food fights and passive-aggressive plating, something else starts simmering. Because when you're stuck on an island with your pride, your debt, and a man who sees right through you, feelings have a way of bubbling to the surface. Flavor of Us is a mouth-watering enemies to something more, about healing, heritage, and finding the recipe for love. One disaster service at a time. Listen, we love a good enemies to lovers over here, so I'm excited for this one. Some of the cast have been a part of the idol industry, and they already have OST music video out on their YouTube if you want to check it out. I know people were mad about this one being a short and vertical one again, but I've learned to think of it this way. Would you rather have no show at all, or a vertical one that usually adds up to the length of a movie? Also, you gotta remember, Asia is the pinnacle of convenience, which is good and bad, but at the end of the day, most BL viewers come from Asia, so catering to their target audience only makes sense. Let's get into The Killer Next Door. Yunjae, a timid part-time worker who oddly enough moonlights as an assassin, even though he's terrified of guns, blood, and knives, but still manages to off targets in hilariously absurd ways. His life gets even messier when Jin-hyuk, a former superstar baseball player, moves in next door and starts saving all his intended victims because, well, he can't resist. This series has idol group VIX VIX member N playing as one of the leads. Fun fact, 3 of 4 VIX members have been cast in BL roles so far. Feel free to stay for Blush Hour where we just catch up, and boy do we have a lot of catching up to do this time. Yes, I was gone for pretty much the entire month of July and then some. And of course, you guys noticed, but no need for concern, I was just taking trips, visiting family, and going to concerts. I also had time to finally watch some BLs. Sometimes I'm so busy creating content around BL, I can't even sit down to enjoy it. Well, I know I have some K-pop fans on here that'll appreciate this. I was able to go see Stray Kids, which is super cool because they were kind of my first group that I really got into, and it was their first time performing in Canada, but not only that, they were also the first group performing in this new stadium that we have. So it was a lot of firsts, very cool, overall awesome experience. Then a few weeks ago, I also went to Blackpink. This was the first time I got floor seats at a concert, and overall a good experience. The girls killed it. I have one more trip at the end of the month, and that'll be my summer. I usually venture to the States for these concerts, but this year I was able to stay in Canada thanks to the new venue in Toronto. Now, BLs of course, we've been watching Revenge Love every damn week, like clockwork. I even won a snake plushie at a local fair, and I may or may not have been walking around like Chi-Cheng all day. Not sorry. I'm also watching Desire. I thought we almost lost another one to censorship, but non-Chinese owned platforms like Gago, Lala, and Viki will continue airing the show. But if you are watching it on WeTV or iQIYI, which are Chinese owned, you might want to switch to a different platform because they are no longer airing it on there, and I think they actually removed the show altogether. The Promise of the Soul is one where I don't think too much about the story, but the actors are freaking adorable, and I think it'll be a little less weird once we learn about that whole spiritual connection and reincarnation vibes they're hinting at. Because yes, this blonde guy here is technically 70 years old. Secret Lover from Taiwan is a Friends to Lovers BL I've been watching. It's also good, I just wish the episodes were longer than 20 minutes. Moving on to GMM TV, I started Memoir of Rati, and wow, it is a pretty show with an equally pretty cast. It was definitely the show that I had on the entire summer while traveling, so now I just associate it with traveling and haven't actually watched it now that I'm home. But now that I've reminded myself, hopefully we can get back to that. What's your favorite BL right now that has you counting down days until the new episode? I love hearing what you guys are obsessed with. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.